What's up, everybody? Good morning. It's Mal. I'm joined today with Rob, and we are also joined today with Michelle, who's launching a new awesome project that has a really unique spin on the world. So super thankful for y'all to be with us. How's everyone doing this morning?
Excellent.
Awesome.
It's like a beautiful day in New York City.
Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I live here in the city. Yeah, that's where we're based. And it's like,
Did you come hang out with us in NYC? Were you there at NFT NYC?
I was on a panel with Peg
Oh, that's
about
awesome.
fashion and NFTs.
Did you come to our party?
Probably no. I went to the first night, and then the next, I wanted to go to all that, but I was like in the middle of doing the art for NFT.
Yeah.
And I'm the creative director, and so I was working with the artist, like screen sharing for like 2 months, like all day. Like I managed to find an artist that was willing to do that with me. And so I missed most of the NFT NYC events. I did the first night, which was in that ballroom, and I was like, I'm going to get COVID. I have to leave. I mean, like there were so many people and no one had a mask on. And I don't know, maybe New Yorker, I'm so paranoid. Like I wear masks all the time, no matter what. And then, but Peg went to all of those. I think you probably saw her at yours.
Okay. I think so. It was a whirlwind of an event, and it's funny how like the as a host of those events, it's like you want to say hi, you want to talk to people and get to know them, but you're also just like running around, getting to know and say hi to everybody. Like there's no rest. It's tough.
So much talking. I live on 72nd and 71st and Broadway, and in my neighborhood there are COVID tents set up on every block, and it's like the exact opposite of like the way it was a year ago when like you couldn't even get a test. And so they've gone like really hard the other way. So like both days that I came back from the NFT NYC, I got off the subway and I went right up to the tent and I was like, got a COVID test. I'm not overly paranoid about it. It's just at events like that. I'm like,
so the COVID tests they're having to compete with the hot dog vendor.
You don't even see those guys much anymore, but yeah.
Or the street food vendors.
Yeah,
those are my favorite.
Where do you live?
Dallas.
Are you guys both in Texas?
Yep.
I was there recently. My friend grew up in Grapevine.
Cool. That's not too far away.
Grapevine, Texas.
Yeah.
Good old Grapevine.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yes. So enough about that. Real briefly, it's gross. But we were joking because at our party, we were having a conversation. One of our partners had a conversation, and one of the guys was talking to him actually like spit, and it landed in his mouth. And he's like, the guy immediately apologized for it. He's like, I am so sorry. I don't have COVID. We were just making fun of
what I would do.
Maybe you should wear a mask.
I would be like,
yes, get tested. All right, so enough with that. Let's talk about the Fierce Studios NFT. But before we get to that, let's talk about Michelle, a little bit of your background and kind of the genesis from where your expertise is, how that evolved and brought us into this NFT collection that you guys dropped.
Totally. Okay, so cool. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Love to talk about this stuff and spread the word. So my background, I'm a fashion photographer. I've done that for the past 20 years in New York City, LA, overseas, working with fashion brands, magazines. And early on in my career, like 10 years ago, I got really into tech. And so I learned how to code. I started doing like all of these like tech things. I sort of like went away from the fashion industry for a while. And so really got into crypto as well. And so about like 3 years ago, I started shooting again and combining the two things. And in 2017 is when like I heard about Ethereum for the first time and I had an aha moment. And I was like, I'd always wanted to find a big idea that would solve a problem that would combine my two disciplines of fashion and tech. And like when I thought of disintermediation, I was like agents, right? Like I know there's a problem there firsthand. And so I wrote a white paper and I started a company called Casting Coin. and we connect brands directly with models, photographers, hairstylists, anyone on a fashion shoot. Within a month of writing that white paper, I realized we were way too early, and I pivoted and I wrote a business plan. And we're a centralized platform, got investors, advisors, built a team. And over the past 3 years, I've just been heads down building my company. It was like crypto winter. I wasn't thinking about that at all. I went from like really into it. I used to write an article for the New York Observer about crypto, all that, to like never even talking about it. But it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to turn Casting Point into a DAO someday. But I thought it would definitely be at least 10 years away. And then last spring, crypto came back, the prices went up, and then I started hearing about this thing called NFTs. And I'd heard about crypto kitties back in the day, but it wasn't called an NFT then. And so I started thinking about it and talking to my friend Peg, who's my partner in Fierce right now. And she was my friend back then, so she knows all about the genesis story with Casting Coin. And I was like, imagine if we could just like dip our toe back into this with NFTs. It's in like a much more lightweight way than creating a token, and like completely disintermediating. I'm like, but we could do it this way. We'll get like 10 Casting Coin models and create a PFP collection based on them, be the very first collection that's ever been based on real fashion models, and fulfill my dream of like so our models get a piece of mint, and then they get a piece of the secondary forever directly into their wallet without having to rely on me or anybody else. And so we started Fierce. I decided it was going to be Casting Coin at first, but I made a strategic decision to create a separate LLC called Fierce Studios for two reasons. One, I didn't want the crypto aspect part of Casting Coin. It's just too gray and the regulations and stuff like that. So I wanted to keep that part separate. But I also thought in terms of branding, it was interesting to have like a separate brand, but while leveraging Casting Coin. So it's almost like we're like this like conglomerate, because our ultimate goal, which we're starting, is to create a photo studio in the Metaverse called Fierce Studios, inhabited by Casting Coin talent, thousands of people, and NFT holders, where real photo shoots happen, runway shows, networking events, and like those two things are separate but equal.
That's awesome. It's so interesting to think about how everyone is just being so creative and really finding ways to put their expertise into the metaverse. And I think like when you start looking at kind of the future, Rob and I were on a call earlier today with a person. We dialed in, we were shocked, and they had an AR like mask on. The whole conversation, like just natural as could be, but like it was this augmented reality thing, and like they weren't wearing a mask.
Cool.
It was just like the tech had gotten so good. And when you do think about kind of the fashion, and you think about photography, models, runway shows, everything, it's like, why wouldn't there be a metaverse runway show in the near future? And like when is Louis Vuitton going to have? When is Metaverse Fashion Week gonna happen? Like that's so
Kanye.
crazy.
Whenever Kanye's doing it, we're there.
Is he doing it? Oh, when he does do it. No, believe me, it's gonna be soon.
Hopefully.
Well, my dream is having like the photographers in New York, the creative directors in LA, and they're collaborating as if they're in the same space.
Yes.
In the metaverse, so the client can like actually direct the model and direct the photographer. They're doing that now on Zoom, and it's clunky, obviously, but this is like actually being there.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about what, obviously Facebook changing their name to Meta, but Microsoft has been bold and talked about like when Office 365 is going to be in the metaverse. And like when you think about like, if they're thinking about it, why wouldn't every other creative endeavor that ever exists also be in the metaverse? You remember the 3D painting and all that. It's just going to be incredibly exciting to see how this goes.
Yeah, it's a huge signal that these like mainstream companies from Facebook to, I actually didn't hear about the Microsoft one. We are definitely early, and we were definitely early 3 years ago. And I still think we're very early, but you guys know this space accelerates. It moves faster than other things.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a week feels like a year with how much things change. I mean, today, for instance, is the Adidas NFT drop, which is coming on the heels of Nike acquiring Artifact. Like, we keep saying we're early, but like, how early are we still? Is it still really early, or is it just kind of early?
Exactly. Is that
maybe
the board?
maybe it's happy brunch now.
Yeah. No, I mean Adidas. Adidas. It's brunch. It's almost lunchtime. Yeah. So today Adidas is selling NFTs for 0.2, and they're going to come with hoodies, and it's in partnership with Bored Ape Yacht Club. But it's really interesting to just see how quick this space is, and how mainstream it's going to get. It's really just wild. And what's next, right? Pepsi dropped, Budweiser dropped, like all the brands are just dropping. Like, is that good or bad? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, that's why we were really, two things. Like 2021 is definitely a pioneering year for NFTs. So it was really important for me that we drop our collection in 2021, just so we could be part, we want to be part of the Genesis story, especially considering that we've been doing this for 3 years. It's not even just like, we're like, oh, this NFT thing. Like, we actually really have it in our pedigree. And then, and then getting Saucony as an official partner, like a global sneaker brand like that, like trusting us to like launch them into the NFT space has been really, and I think we're doing it in a very meaningful way. We're like drawing the sneakers into the NFT. It's not just like sort of this like, all right, just slap Saucony on it. It's actually really well thought out, and the art is cool, and that all of that has been really, we've been proud of that.
Yeah, that's incredibly awesome. Can you talk? So this is live. People can go collect it. Obviously, the metaverse component is awesome. What are the main reasons people should be thinking about this token? It is historically significant. There are a lot of those things. The model's very diverse. And when you think about your roadmap, what are the things that you're going to be doing, and what benefits would holders get from this coin or token?
Access. Number one is just access. Fashion is one of the most exclusive industries in the world. And our team, like, this is where we're embedded in the fashion industry, and we have been for 20 years. And so we have all of these relationships. That's why we have Saucony. We work with Estee Lauder and Sephora and all the major fashion brands. And we have for a very long time. And New York Fashion Week, that's a really big one. We're very connected with the designers. And so NFT holders will have that access. So we're inking partnership deals with all of these people, these brands, these shows. And so that one thing is that kind of access, whether it be virtual or actually in real life. That we have this metaverse plan, but we also have like a really robust on the ground plan as well.
That's awesome. And I mean, this is kind of like when you do think about New York Fashion Week, and it's funny, we were talking to Tina Eisen the other day. She's a really popular photographer, and she's talking about some of the similar things about how like these communities and this natural progression with these tokens is just going to be incredible for everyone. And why wouldn't you join this? So I guess what's the size of the mint? What are you guys doing in 2022? I know you guys wanted to be, and I agree with you. The historic significance of kind of being in 2021 is going to have some of that.
Yes.
There's going to be this natural thing. It's like, okay, and even 2020, right? Rob was buying early in 2020 NFTs. Way before we even thought of NFT culture. So, but being in the 2021 is like still like Gen 1, and like Gen 2 is going to happen really quickly. So what are y'all's plans for next year?
So So we're minting at 0.07. And so this is our first collection. It's a 10,000 PFP collection. We're already planning one-of-ones with some influencers and with some brands, makeup brands specifically to start. And so that is something we're really going, we're very bullish on that piece of it. We're also very bullish on the casting aspect of it. So Fierce at this stage, not only do we have Casting Coin, which represents thousands of models and makeup artists and all that, but Fierce proper is now representing all of the Fame Ladies and Board Becky in brand deals. And so like leveraging the IP to actually build like a real influencer is something that like is already happening. I mean, the Board of Apes has done a lot of the heavy lifting for us in that area. And brands are like, it's not like we have to sell this hard. All we have to do is like, mention the Adidas partnership. And so the brands are really open to it. They're very interested. And so we're moving, we're very bullish on that as well. One of our big initiatives, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to comment that like that liaison type of relationship is going to be critical, right? Because there are a lot of brands that are like they want to figure out this NFT thing. Like, is it fake internet money? Is it fake internet art? But they do see kind of the tailwinds heading in this direction. And so Fierce, it sounds like, is going to be a big part of that intersection as it relates specifically around fashion, makeup, etc.
We're a trusted intermediary at this stage because we have deep relationship with these brands. They trust us. And then we also have deep relationships with these other, I guess, brands like Fame Ladies. And people know that we are a legitimate NFT company that has a lot of like, really, I think we have meaningful ambitions. It's not like we're trying to make money. Like we're not trying to flip this and make a lot of money on NFTs. What my goal was from the very beginning with Casting Coin was to allow people, young models, but people to own their own career and to own their own finances and not relying on middle people to like really control their whole future. And so it's funny, you just called us a liaison, which is a really nice word for agent, but like that's something that we're setting it up so we can like move away from it. And Fierce is a huge tool in me being able to do that for Casting Coin, and then just for talent in general. That's another reason why people should want to be on board with Fierce. We have like really legitimate like business goals that have hard numbers under them.
That's interesting. And when I said liaison, I wasn't even thinking of like how that could be viewed as somewhat of an agent. But when you do think about some of the core principles of NFTs, right? If you're an artist and you go in a gallery, like A, that gallery is going to take 50%, and B, like you're not going to get any of the resale, right? But it sounds like this is the same interpretation to say, hey, look, there is this network, there's this access. Let's remove, in some instances, that middle person, that agent that's going to be taking a very, very big percentage.
This is exactly, and this is like the very early days of this. And I've actually 3 years ago, I saw this like in the beginning. It's when this disintermediation happens, thanks to blockchain, you're going to need liaisons. It's a really good way to say it because we're not taking 20%, but these people don't know each other. So you need trusted people to bring them together and manage that. Eventually, like anything, once it grows enough and it like sort of generations out, the next generation won't need that middle person. It will be a really successful disintermediated, I guess, relationship where the artist actually does own their own career and their finances. But you can't expect that to happen like that, right?
Yeah.
And there needs to be a process involved with these people knowing each other at all.
That's awesome. And yeah, I mean, this is also one of those projects that's really interesting because of it is fulfilling a specific need. It's not one of those projects that you see like the PFP projects that are pump and dumps, right? This is a utility token that is launched. It's not expected to sell out in 10 seconds, and if not, it's there. This is the long game, and this is building on kind of the shoulder of giants in the community that you've already built with the thousands of people that are already a part of it with Casting Coin. So it's a really interesting interpretation.
Thank you. And we don't even think of we know we'll sell that token out, but that token is just like the NFT. It is such a small part of our whole vision, but it's a huge part. Like it itself is growing with it, with everything else that we're doing.
That's awesome. Rob, do you have any questions?
I was going to ask you to throw that back on there because I thought it was interesting where you had the model, which was also then the PFP, and you could see where they all came from and stuff. That's pretty sweet.
They look,
that's cool.
Thank you. I'm really proud of the art. I mean, like I'm also a fashion stylist, so I literally spent months.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know, isn't that awesome?
Yes.
They're so cool. Like, see this outfit with the diamonds and the low ride sweatpants, and you can see the underwear. I'm like, we managed to make bobbleheads hot.
Dude, good job. I mean, you'll be able to take this with the partnerships you're talking about with cosmetics and things like that. Man, you're in a pivot. You're in an excellent space right now. Oh my gosh, to position yourself where you're at. Awesome.
Thank you. I agree. Cool. Thank you. And the models that we chose from Casting Coin are all like, we chose like to start out with like very influential models who have, verified on Instagram, millions of followers, and are really successful with brands. But that's just because it does a ton of the heavy lifting. Right. And so our next collections, it won't necessarily have to be that way. It's open to ideas.
No, I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, it'd be cool if like eventually like you could create your own like that matches you, right? Like it'd be really interesting.
Well, our artist is going to be drawing us and himself as this. I'm actually meeting with him at 12:30, and we're going to do it together. And yeah, so it is funny to see. I imagine for these guys to see yourself as a bobblehead.
That's awesome.
Heck yes, that's awesome. Well, Michelle, we appreciate everything. I'm looking forward to continuing to watch this project. You and Peg and everyone that we've gotten to know over the last few months. It's been awesome. We're still early, even though I was saying we're less early. It might be brunch, but we still have a couple hours until lunch, right?
Mimosas are still flowing.
The mimosas are still flowing. I was just thinking.
It might be brunch.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And thank you for the article, by the way. It was great.
Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you want to go check this out, go to Fierce Studios NFT. I'll throw it back up real quick so everyone can see it. You can also check out the article that we did on this project on NFTCulture.com. And make sure you go follow Michelle. Make sure you go check out Casting Coin. And, we look forward to the future. It's going to be awesome.
Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks, guys. Bye.